Trauma is the Greek word for wound, and although it was used to describe physical wounds, today it's just as likely to refer to emotional wounds. Stress is anything in our life that comes our way that upsets our balance or our normal. Sometimes stress can be good, sometimes it can be bad, or really, in all honesty, stress is just stress. Now, trauma is always stressful, but stressors are not always traumatic. Trauma causes changes to our brain as a result of distressing events. Physical and emotional wounds have similar characteristics. Consider what you know about physical wounds and how they heal. Physical wounds can occur in all different ways and fashion, on purpose, by accident. They heal at different rates for different people. Sometimes people don't even notice a scratch and it's healed right away. Other times it may require some medicine or a Band-Aid or some extra care. We know that physical wounds that are attended to right away tend to heal better. If you get a scratch during a sporting event and you just continue playing and not clean it out and maybe scratch it some more later, it may be more painful or take longer to heal. We know that wounds can cause scars. We know that it is often painful in the healing process. We know that sometimes those physical wounds look worse before they look better. And we know that it just is a matter of a healing process to heal. And that is very similar for physical and emotional wounds. Proverbs 18:14 says, "The spirit of a man will sustain his infirmity, but a wounded spirit who can bear?" We can often stay still kind of in a good mood or positive over a physical injury, but the Bible tells us that a wounded spirit cannot be bared, cannot be tolerated. It's important to understand some of the things that can cause these traumatic experiences in our lives. They're different for everyone, and we need to be cautious that maybe something bothers one person and doesn't another. We're all different. We all have resiliency skills may be formed. We may experience the same exact thing, and yet one person have a change to the brain or a traumatic experience and another person may not. And it's just very, it's just the way to be to understand that one thing for one person is another, could be different for another. The list there are some experiences that when experienced personally or even the witness to, we know can cause trauma to the brain or traumatic memories to the brain. And the witnessing of these things a lot of times is not validated or overlooked as in the experiencing of it. Also, of course, multiple experiences piled on top of each other are obviously going to cause problems. And at the same time too, it just helps to know that anytime what you have on board to help you experience or cope with an event, if it is overwhelmed by what you have on board and that experience is more than what is available to you, that is trauma. I'm a bit of a nerd, a science nerd, and I love the brain. I love the human brain. God created it perfectly to heal on its own without, as long as we can get into a space of safety, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But the brain is created with three parts: the bottom brain, the lizard brain, the survival brain, that emotional brain, the limbic brain in the middle, and the top, the cerebral cortex, or what I call the soul brain. And those three parts are all needed and they keep us alive. Sometimes they keep us alive at an emotional cost, but the emotional brain will certainly keep track of what is happening. And there's two parts in that limbic brain called the amygdala and the hippocampus, which I like to just refer to as the alarm bell and the filing cabinet. The alarm bell remembers what was distressful, and it may go off if it thinks that event is going to happen again. The hippocampus is that filing cabinet that keeps track of all those things that it needs to keep track of to keep us safe. So perhaps even when we are safe, something inside smells, looks, tastes, feels, sounds like something in that filing cabinet, and it may cause that alarm bell to go off, which in our body can feel like anxiety or panic or any other even emotional shutdown or withdrawal. I think the Chinese proverb shown here just makes it so simple to understand. To anyone that has been bit by a snake, every coiled rope is a snake because it has to be, right? Just in case. And imagine walking around for anything that even looks like a rope or looks like a snake. Our mind and our body is doing its best to keep us safe. And sometimes that can get out of order and just be running amok and causing disruption in other parts of our life. People with traumatic experiences or trauma disorders, stressor and trauma-related disorders often have symptoms instead of memories. Remember, the memories are there, but they might be too painful to think about, or we try to just ignore them or bury them. But these symptoms will come out, and this list around this picture is just so descriptive of how some of these symptoms could be physical in the body, or even emotional. Everything from substance abuse to irritable bowel syndrome to heartburn. All of these things could be related to some type of emotional wound that's not healed. And at the end of the day, these symptoms, which even the word symptom can sound so daunting, but the word symptom can be looked at as the word challenge. So what are the challenges in your life that would possibly be dealt with better with some healing? There are many types of therapy and healing practices that address traumatic issues or emotional wounds. They all seem to have the same system or stages of healing, however, though, and that starts with safety, or in what I have been trained, it's called learning resources or learning healthy coping skills. But most of all, getting safe, stopping the trauma, stopping the drama, stopping the danger. And that can be a lot of work on its own, and that work on its own can be wonderful. And then once and only once that has been established, a person may be able to remember or mourn or reprocess perhaps, or allow the Lord in Christian healing to come in and see that wound or that issue. And then finally, reunification is the goal. In recovery, we often say peace and acceptance is the goal. Not saying, I wish I could erase what happened to me or what I did, but at the same time, almost coming up with a new meaning to why that happened. And it's very spiritual in nature, there's no doubt about it. And I really, once again, say that's why God created the brain to heal. The spirit, a wounded spirit, no man can bear alone. These things cannot be done alone. We need other people. We need connection. We need each other. In some future videos, I'm going to share some more Christian-based resources for the healing process, the trauma healing process, specifically in that safety step or phase. So in the future, just to let you know, they will be more faith-based, Christian-based. I'm going to leave you with a few scriptures that from the Word of God that is just written for wounded people. And I thank you for listening. Subscribe if you're interested in more videos, and have a blessed day. Thank you.